Hello, my name is Dr Mary Corcoran and I teach a module called Prisons and Imprisonment. Part of that module looks at everyday life and the lived experience of prison. We call this penal ethnography, penal or penological, referring to the sub-branch of criminology that's concerned with the theory and practice of punishment. And ethnography relates to the study of people in their lived environment. Now today I want to focus on trading systems in prisons. These are the ingenious systems whereby prisoners have developed their own sub-economy in goods and services, and we refer to this as prisoner economics. Now I'm going to disappear from the screen after this, but I am going to narrate you through the different points in the slides. And if you want to follow me, and you want to hear me speak through the slides, please press the icon on the bottom right hand of your slides. Okay, here goes. Welcome back. Now, we know that there is illegal trafficking in prohibited and dangerous items into and out of our prisons. And these items include such entities as drugs, alcohol, mobile phones, electronic devices, weapons, credit cards and cash. These are brought illegally into the prison system and they cause considerable disruption for security and good order in the prison. And therefore, for this reason, the law imposes very heavy penalties for people found smuggling or handling such items, and these include very large fines or imprisonment for terms of up to 12 years in very serious cases in the United Kingdom prison system. But we're not going to focus on those today. Instead, we're going to look at the everyday systems of trading and bartering that prisoners have developed to help them get by and to access scarce goods and resources. But first, some criminology. Now, Gresham Sykes was an American penologist who wrote a classic study of prisoner subcultures called The Pains of Imprisonment. Now, in this book, he noted that the primary purpose of a sentence of prison custody was to deprive individuals of their liberty, their civic freedom in society, for the duration of their sentences. However, Sykes went on to argue that the effect of being in prison meant that individuals suffered additional deprivations, which he called the pains of imprisonment, and these are liberty, sexual and intimate relations, autonomy, security, and of course, goods and services. Now, what Sykes found was that as long as prison restricts access to these resources, so also have prisoners devised ways for getting around scarcities. We know that prison trading and bartering systems have been in existence for a very long time. And we also know that the shortage of certain goods means that they become highly valued. For example, grog, alcohol, snout, tobacco, food, luxuries, and that might even mean reading or writing materials. Anything can become a tradable commodity if it's in short supply. Okay, so how do we know that these trading systems exist? Well, we know from prisoner autobiographies, we know from media reports, we know from fiction, and as academics we also know from the discipline records. That's where prison governors have imposed penalties on prisoners for possessing or trading items when they shouldn't be trading or in possession of them. But here's the thing, possessing and trading are two different activities and they are sometimes legal grey areas. Now, as we've seen already, some goods are clearly illegal. But buying, selling and making money is also strictly against prison rules. But what if no money changes hands? And also, as we'll see, prison economics aren't fixed. What becomes valuable can change over time. Now, one classic example is tobacco. Tobacco used to be one of the key currencies in prisons. But since smoking was banned in public places, including prisons, prisoners who smoke must now apply for prison-issue vapes. And therefore, the commodity value of tobacco has gone down. Now, we might even go further and say that prison trading systems follow some fundamental economic rules. And indeed, we could even say that the items that are exchanged begin to behave like currencies. So what is a currency? Well, a currency can be any item that is deemed by two or more people to have an exchange value. There are other characteristics as well that we might consider. A currency can be made of any material. We may use notes and coins, and increasingly digital coinage such as bitcoins, but also in the past and present, currencies can also be represented by precious stones, by metal ingots, by shells, or by carved tablets, and so on and so forth. Fact is, anything can be a currency. There are other features as well. A currency must keep its value. Users must be confident that they can exchange the currency for other goods with other parties who will also trust its value and accept it in exchange. It has to be trusted to accurately reflect the value of goods being bought and sold. And prices follow supply and demand. Prices can go up and down according to what is valued or devalued. Now in the following there's a short clip of the ramen noodle trade that was reported in a number of American prisons in recent years. I want you to look through the clip, but when you're doing so, please note as many reasons as you can for why these prisoners have developed a trade in a basic foodstuff. Right, now you've had a look at the link, and I'm sure you've seen there are several complex reasons why prisoners have devised trades in basic foodstuffs, like ramen noodles. So what lessons can we draw from this example? Well, firstly, when goods are unavailable through official channels, prisoners will organise to find alternative systems for accessing those goods. Individuals will seek goods and services because they believe they're in need. Prison diets aren't healthy, and in wealthy countries and many other countries, food supply is either insufficient or it's nutritionally deficient. There's a lot of carbs and a lot of starches. And this is because prison budgets need to cut operating costs. But we can also understand the prison trade through different academic perspectives. So a social anthropologist would probably argue that human beings are a trading species. However, human trade relies on systems of trust and reciprocity. This is called the gift relationship. Now, a sociologist could add that possessing certain goods offers the holder status and power. Therefore, they're status symbols. Now, an ethicist or a human rights lawyer might argue that individuals ought to be able to secure their basic needs, provided this is legal and it doesn't harm others. And an economist might say that this proves the point that human beings continue to create functioning markets as consumers, as producers, as intermediaries, even in very confined situations. They might also point out that the rules of supply and demand can lead to stockpiling or rationing. And of course, this can lead to conflict of interest. And let's think about some penological perspectives. From a prisoner subcultural perspective, this is an example of the way that individuals and groups reconstruct our social networks, even when they're in prison environments. And we call this importation theory. Now, from a prison management point of view, these systems present some very complicated problems about how and when to control prison trading. Now, clearly, activities that promote criminality and danger to security and order must be prevented and controlled. Prisons monitor trading and trapping systems because they know that they can promote intimidation or bullying, for example. But if you crack down too hard or too early, these activities will be driven underground, where they'll be much more difficult to control. So the real balance for prison staff is when and how one might tolerate some of the grey area trading in order to monitor and to contain them. So I hope you really enjoyed our investigation into a small slice of prison life. If you want to investigate further, have a look at some of the sources below. Thank you.